as you listen to me and as you look at your screen right now, either on your handheld device or on your computer, according to the conventional models of science, information is entering into your brain through both the visual apparatus, from the optic nerves, and also information is coming to you through your ears. And this information is basically quantum information or electrical information, because electricity is quantum in nature. This means that it is governed by the laws of quantum mechanics, which are very different from the laws of classical physics that we experience in everyday life. One of the key features of quantum mechanics is that energy comes in discrete pockets called quanta. This is true for all forms of energy, including electricity. The quantum of electricity is called an electron. And electrons can only exist in certain energy levels around an atom. When an electron moves from one level of energy to another, it emits or absorbs a photon of light. This is how electricity is generated in power plants, and also how it powers our homes and devices. Another key feature of quantum mechanics is that particles can behave like waves and waves can behave like particles. This is known as the wave-particle duality. Electrons exhibit wave-particle duality, which means that they can spread out like waves over a region of space, or they can be localized as particles. Okay, so right now, quantum information is entering your brain, and somehow the visual cortex, and the same principles apply actually to the auditory cortex. Somehow the visual cortex creates the appearance of a physical world, and that includes the experience of your own body somehow. This is the current cortical model. Now, if you ask a neuroscientist or an expert in vision, how does the visual cortex create the appearance of a three-dimensional world from a two-dimensional image? They might say, and they have said, that the image enters the visual cortex through the optic nerve. The fact is, no image enters the visual cortex through the optic nerve, only quantum information. Secondly, neuroscientists will say that the visual cortex separates the image into its different components, such as lines, shapes, and colors. Again, no image, only quantum information. Thirdly, they may say that the visual cortex compares the information from the different components to its knowledge of the world. Interesting, isn't it, that a material object like a brain and a certain part of that brain called the visual cortex is giving so much credit for comparing information to knowledge of the world, a bunch of atoms and molecules. And then again, neuroscientists will tell you that the visual cortex uses this information to create a 3D representation of the image it receives. It receives no image. Okay. The visual cortex sends this 3D information to the rest of the brain for further processing. So this is the current model, and in all honesty, it sounds totally nonsensical. Okay. Electrical information, quantum mechanics, is a good model for fundamental architecture, but as I've said in a previous video, that the principles of quantum mechanics actually share our minds the principles of quantum consciousness. Okay, superposition, quantum uncertainty, the measurement problem, entanglement, all of that. So it is quantum consciousness that's creating both the models of quantum mechanics as quantum mind, but also the models that we call electrical information and the model that we call the brain and the visual cortex. All models of reality, not reality. The only reality has to be and is our fundamental being, which is pure consciousness, infinite possibilities, entanglement, non local correlation, uncertainty, unpredictability, quantum uncertainty, attention, intention, and the source of all models. You're not a model. You are the source of all models or human constructs that help us understand what is happening. So when people say the laws of classical physics are different from the laws of quantum mechanics, what they're really saying is that these are different modes of knowing in consciousness. So consciousness conceives, governs, constructs, and becomes everything that we call mind, body, and universe, while remaining that field of all possibilities. Okay, so now if we totally get this, then it's obvious that quantum information creates the appearance of the physical world in our consciousness. And that appearance of the physical world includes our body and our brain and what we call the mind, all appearing on the screen of consciousness, just like everything is appearing on your screen right now, whether you're holding a handheld device or a computer. The screen is modifying itself into experience, and this seems to be a macro experience, but it is generated by quantum information, which is a model for the quantum mind, which in turn is an expression of consciousness. So let's not get bamboozled by models. They point the way to the truth. But remember, both the experience and the models of the experience are constructed in our being. And that being is non-local, spaceless, timeless, immortal, infinite, borderless, irreducible, without cause. And when we actually experience that, just like you realized that your screen on your handheld device is modifying itself, or on your computer is modifying itself into the experience you're having of images and sounds, and your reflections about that, it's all happening on the screen of consciousness. And the screen is modifying itself metaphorically right now into electrons, photons that appear as this physical world. But even those electrons and photons are modes of knowing and human constructs in consciousness. And there is nothing behind that consciousness. You are the divine self experiencing itself as all objects, all subjects, all interactions between objects and subjects. And therefore, you are the creator of the theater of space-time and causality. Please reflect on this and give me your feedback.